And this is the greatest way for me to watch a podcast unfold is with a vague image of myself talking under a bigger image of two stoners at a picnic table about to be hit by a bus with a picture of the cast of Beverly Hills 90210 or Melrose Place on the windshield of the bus.
Live from the Willie Nelson and Friends Museum Showcase in Nashville, Tennessee. It's Music is Funny. Musicians talking to comedians about music and comedy. With your hosts, Raelyn Nelson and Jonathan Bright.
Still smoking, I'm so high, I keep toking, I'm drunk, but I'm still drinking too. Welcome back to Music is Funny. I'm Raelyn Nelson.
And I'm Jonathan Bright from the Raelyn Nelson Band.
Did we cheers yet?
We're back with another ridiculous and unnecessary intro.
Ben Gleib.
Hello.
We're in, Ben. Oh my God.
Thank you so much for your patience.
No,
we made it.
Thank you. Thank you for being here with us. I'm Raelyn, and this is JB, my co-host.
Nice to meet you.
Hello.
My guitar player. And
Pleasure.
I know I told you this on DM, but I want to say it on video for everyone to hear that I love it when I see that you're the guest on Justine's podcast or Nikki's podcast. And because I know it's just going to be silly and funny. And I love your special, The Mad King, out on YouTube. Go ahead and just get that out there. It's great.
Thank you.
I actually
Yeah, you hipped me to it. It was good.
Yeah.
Very good.
And everybody go watch that and support all these comedians putting it out on YouTube. I think it's fucking killer. And
Don't support all these comedians. Just support me mostly.
If your time is limited, go support Ben.
If your time is limited, support me first. If you have a little bit of extra time at that point, watch my special again, leave comments. If you have time, then share it and watch it again and pretend you're a new user and start a new account. And then if you get through all that, maybe consider watching another comedian to support the arts.
See, I like it when comedians are helping each other. They lift each other up.
Yeah,
That's what I like about the comedy scene.
We really do. Like a lot of comedians lift me up, and that's really nice. Like some of the ones that you mentioned. And don't look now, you guys. I hate to cut myself off, but you're about to get hit by a bus.
That's never happened before.
First one that said that. That was good.
Holy shit.
So this is actually just a piece of cardboard back here,
Yeah.
but
Oh, thank God.
plywood.
For a minute, I was frightened.
Like the first people who saw the train on the movie and they all ran away. You remember the first motion picture?
Oh, yeah.
Falls over. Yeah.
Yeah, because people used to be a lot more stupid.
Yeah.
They saw things in 2 dimensions.
Yeah, we're somehow getting dumber and less dumb. We're getting a little more savvy, and we're getting dumb in just dumber ways. Like we just believe any sort of absurdity these days, and we don't. You know what I'm saying? We believe. I'm gonna have some weed.
Yeah, you
Easy.
smoke. Did you say you smoke weed?
I do smoke weed, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I talked about in the special. You're probably too high to remember about how I accidentally smuggled some weed into Edmonton, and how I do like weed in some ways better than alcohol. Obviously, the Edmonton story's a lie. I've never admitted that was a piece of art in which I said that I did that. I never did that in real life. If I have to go to Canada a lot, and so let's not let them judge me at all. But also, I'm going to eat right now, an edible right now. Do you eat edibles?
I do eat edibles, but I like smoking weed. I like the smoking and the.
I do love the vibe of it.
Yeah, and the taste of it. I like the taste.
When did
of
they start
smoking.
calling it flower?
Whenever they made
That's
edibles.
a good question.
I guess they had to differentiate.
When they made edibles and vaping, when that became prevalent, then they had to call it something cool, so they went with flower.
Yeah, flower. Really, it's really hurting the flower business, like for regular flowers.
Yeah, this is not what I was.
Because now you tell your girl, you're like, hey, I bought you flowers, and she's like, oh, I got you some flowers, and then it's just flowers, and you don't get high on them. All you do is you end up having your fiance just munching on a bouquet of flowers, hoping she'll get some kind of psychotropic effect. It's unlikely.
All right, Ben. So I start every podcast by asking, what's the first music you remember loving as a kid?
Oh, wow.
The very first.
I mean, I loved, my favorite group for a long time growing up was the Monkees, which my dad always made the point was not even a real group, and they were like a fake group. But I'm like, they're a real group. They were singing those songs. They eventually learned the instruments.
They got around to it.
Yeah, they got around to that eventually. So, I mean, I love them. They're the first concert I ever went to, but I just grew up in a household full of music. My parents were always playing records of like the Dave Clark Five, and of course the Beatles and Sam Cooke and Otis Redding, but also the Rolling Stones, and that kind of stuff was just my early influence in music. And I know every bubblegum oldie in the world, but I also love all the music from the 60s and the 70s. I have a lot of older music is just what I grew up loving. And then I also liked Madonna a lot. For a straight boy, that was unusual, but I liked her songs a lot. And yeah, stuff like that. But also Frank Sinatra I love very much. I mean, of course, Willie Nelson has some of the greats.
You don't
I
have
don't
to
know if you guys are familiar with his work.
What was the first time you remember hearing my grandpa's songs?
Oh man, just in my house. In my house. I mean, also whenever we would go on a road trip, they'd play On the Road Again.
Right.
Love it so much.
It's fresh comedy.
Yep. And I remember also when Saturday Night Live did that sketch making fun of him. I think it was, I remember his like classic, didn't he do that duet with For All the Girls I Loved Before, To All the Girls I Loved Before with what's his name? He did that
Julio Iglesias.
with Julio Iglesias. Yes, it was so great. Such a great duet. I remember seeing that on TV, and then SNL spoofing that
I don't even
as
remember.
well.
I don't
Oh, it was fantastic. It was fantastic. But or was it yeah, and it was an SNL sketch. It was pretty great.
That
But
song
their
is,
two voices.
That song divides
complement each
people.
other.
You should have heard Doug
It
Stanhope.
does?
Doug Stanhope went off on a 5-minute rant on how much he hated that song, which is hilarious.
Why?
I think it was time and place. It came on all the time. And he was just like, you're walking through the fucking grocery store and it's on. He's like, I couldn't get away. I mean, he went on a rant about it, which is hilarious. Because she asked the same question, like, what's your earliest memory of my grandpa? And he's like, what is to all the girls I loved before? I hate that fucking song. And then just went off a rant. Hysterical. But he made some good
I
points.
love that song. It's such a confident song. You don't even hear often. I mean, I guess rap does do it, but other than like some pretty explicit rap songs, there's not a lot of songs openly bragging about just hooking up with a lot of fine girls. That is pretty unusual. And a duet, no less. They're like one-upping each other. To all the girls I once caressed. It's like talking about the moves and the caressing them. And then Julio's like, may I say, I've heard the best. They're like trying to one-up each other on how pimp they are. It's pretty ahead of its time.
I've never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
But definitely so. They're basically bragging about everybody they have fucked.
And I bet
Yep.
all of the girls that they fucked were also like, that one's about me. He wrote it
Yeah,
about
totally.
There's
That
a
song
lot-
was kind of a catch-all because now they could all say that. Like, oh, I'm one of all of them. Willie Nelson wrote a song about me. I'm one of all the girls he's loved before. One of the thousands and thousands of faceless masses. I mean, people that he had your close feelings for, I'm sure. On a bus, probably, right? Like what you're... Okay, now I've gone off the rails. I'm talking to his granddaughter. I got to stop.
No, you don't.
No, you don't.
Okay, great.
You should hear some of the conversations in the van.
And one of the lyrics in that
Oh,
song is, I'm glad you came along.
Yeah, I'm glad you came
Thanks for stopping by.
along. I dedicate this song to all the girls I loved before. Also, that line also is kind of cold-hearted too, because it's for 1 second it's towards one girl, and immediately he's like, "But all of them." He goes, "I'm glad you came along. I dedicate this song to all of you, not to the one I was just giving." Not even a full line goes to that one girl, half a line, and then, "But also, you're one of many. I got hoes in many area codes." Okay, wow, Willie,
Yeah.
Yeah.
good for you, dog.
It's so true.
Look, I've been a single road traveling comedian for a lot of my life, so I can relate.
Yeah? You fucked a lot of women, Ben?
I never said that. I just seeing them and shaking their hands and saying, "How nice to meet you." What's your next question?
Do you have the hiccups? This is great.
I'm
Oh, I
just having a great time.
You gave her the hiccups. This is a first, ladies and gentlemen. So you went from that, like when you get into the high school era, a lot of people's musical taste change or whatever. Was it? Did you move in probably hip hop and the next phase? What were you into?
Yeah, I mean, my musical taste stayed kind of like cheesy for a while. Like I got pretty into hip hop in college, but in high school it was still like I mean, it was still a lot of that stuff that I mentioned already, the Beatles, but I was also like, it was like Paul Abdul and like CNC Music Factory I liked a lot, and Bobby Brown's My Prerogative, or Bobby Brown's Don't Be Cruel album with My Prerogative and Don't Be Cruel and Tenderoni. I mean, that's still one of my favorite albums. I was on a plane next to him recently. I got to tell him how much I love that album. My Prerogative and Don't Be Cruel pumped me up like crazy. And, you know, it was stuff like that I dug a lot. I was really into the Color Me Bad album for some reason. I still know it all by heart, even the Spanish part. Oh, mi amor, es por ti que yo vivo. No solo hoy, sino siempre. Viva contigo siempre. Hey, chica, tú eres mi vida, la ternura. You know, that kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? Holding the mic up like this on top. They innovated the way you hold a mic. Holding it on top of your mouth and looking up like it's like you're about to, I don't know, give a blowjob to the Jolly Green Giant or something. You're like looking up into the heavens for that microphone up there. That was one of the worst analogies I've ever used in my life, and I apologize for it.
Do you sing? Like, that sounded great.
I do sing a little.
Yeah.
That sounded pretty good. Thank you.
Were you ever in a band or anything?
I was briefly in a band in high school, and then I've been in 2 rap groups. But even like I sing a little. Like I did a music spoof during the pandemic of Counting Crows, A Long December, called A Long Depressed Year, about how bad the pandemic was. Made a music video of it. I did it with Avery Pearson. You can see that on my YouTube. And then when I was opening for Dane Cook on the Dane Cook tour in 2010, playing arenas every night all around North America, living on a tour bus, we would end the show with a musical encore. He'd bring us back up on stage, and we would do like a 4-part harmony, and I had a solo line that like was trying to sing beautifully in this like higher pitched voice to a whole arena full. You know it's true. Singing vulnerably like that during a comedy show to an arena full of people is very strange.
Did it go over well?
Yeah, it was killer. It was awesome. We would rock that crowd to end up in a standing ovation every time. My voice has a weird range, though. I go up and down, and I don't know where my real range is, but that was probably higher than I need to go.
But when you said you were in a band in high school, it's like a band.
Well, first we got to do what are the names of these bands?
Yeah,
we always like to
say, like, is it just like in band, or did you make you created a band?
No, I was not in band. I don't really play any instrument except kazoo. I am one of the best kazoo players on earth. And if your grandpa ever needs a kazoo guy that can just sit in, I'd be very open to do it, because there's not a lot of people trying to be a kazoo player, but I am one of the best. I played with Mitch Woods and Craig Robinson many times, and I do kill it on the kazoo. I have a Woodman. It's made of wood. It's not some plastic birthday party trick, just so you know. And I know it's pretty impressive.
This would go right in with Mickey Raphael's harmonica and the kazoo. You guys could do 2-part harmonies.
Yeah.
Make a phone call. Make a phone call.
But
anyway,
I was very briefly in a band in high school, but then in college I was in a band for a minute called we were kind of called the Loafers for a minute, and then then it became a real band called Cheeky, and they kind of kicked me out of it. I was living in LA, they were in San Diego, and they didn't want to deal with the guy that doesn't play instruments, that just sings okay. And then my first rap group was called Fun Mountain, FUNMTN period. We have a sick rap video on YouTube. Jeff Ross makes an appearance in it, but it's a legit sick video. Kai Arons was the editor of the video. He was the engineer and one of the members of our group, and then Tim Mars was the lead rapper, and then I had my own lead rap group very, very briefly with my boy Ben Morrison called Ben's, and this was me as the lead rapper, and our one song, Anti-Social Media, is still pretty dope, and the lyrics are gangsterific.
Anti-social media, I love it.
Was this Ben's BENZ or
BENS? We didn't want to go Z. It seemed a little too cheesy to go with the Z.
I was about to say.
Thought about making the S a dollar sign too, but then Kesha beat us to that, so that was not ideal. But I can try to remember one of the flows from that song if you want to hear it.
Oh yeah, let's have some bars.
Definitely.
I'm anti-social media. It's mean to you and it's fleeting. How I waste some Cats unseating you or adorable babies beating you and it cheapens you. Virility, the great con. And now you look up from your phone. Why? The internet broke con? If you're going viral, it ain't your brains. It's all this dumb shit that I disdain. But you got all the followers because them duck-ass lips, them nutshot clips, them makeup tips. You're so opinionated every day's a trip. You ain't having it. And your vlog is really killing it. While I'm sitting at home posting, roasting the world with sick jokes. Oh, is that boasting? But no one else exposing me by clicking me views and they post B. But I've been putting out dope shit mostly. So you don't fit in the decency to retweet my shit? Well, I'm over it. You favored it, so no one sees it and can savor it? Misbehavior, kid. I'm your favorite kid. All the genius shit, I've been saving it. I forgot the fucking rest of that line, but it gets even better. You get a little sad.
Impressive. Nice.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Great.
It's a lot of words to remember.
A lot of words. That song goes for like 4 minutes. That was like 30 seconds of it.
When you got kicked out of that band you got kicked out of, did they tell you or were you just ghosted?
Pretty much ghosted. I was like, hey, when's the next phone rehearsal? And they're like, oh, bro, we already just had one, bro. The next one. And then they were just doing shows suddenly. And there was a point of contention in the friendship for a while. And then I realized I was off to do comedy in LA and they were trying to build a band that they didn't really, this was their big hope. And I didn't need to stick on to that. And then I one time went and saw them in San Diego and they brought me on stage to do our one song, Cable Cars, that I wrote. And it was beautiful and no one cared. No one cared.
Hey, we can understand.
I got kicked out of a band called the Caramel Toes once by Ghosted. Yeah, just Ghosted. They just,
Ghosted? Why'd they kick you out?
I have no idea. Still don't know to this day. We had one gig downtown Broadway, Nashville, where we went and did some busking. Have you ever done some busking?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We had one song called That's What She Said, and we played it over and over and over again downtown Nashville. And then after that, never heard from them again.
See, the veteran move is, if you want to get rid of somebody in the band, you just say, we're breaking up. You get rid of that person, then you reform under a different name, keep everything the same, and just move along. That's happened.
Smart. That's true. That's a nicer way to do it.
Yeah.
That's a nicer way to do it. My fiance's name is Carmel, so that song could be about her. Is it about her?
Yeah, the band. Yeah, the Caramel Toes. Yeah, it's about.
What's the name of the band?
Yeah, it's about your wife.
Great. So tell my wife yet. Please slow your roll. Right now, you can possibly slow the fuck down with that. Holy, she could listen to this.
Nobody.
What are you trying to do?
Yeah. Nobody listens. Okay, so I'm having a hard time hearing sometimes. Can we just do, jiggle?
Oh, really?
It's
not you. Turn my volume up?
No, it's not you. It's me.
That's what the band told you.
Yeah. No, they said nothing.
So how did you get into comedy? Or first of all, who were your first favorite comics?
Oh, yeah. What's the first comedy you remember loving as a kid?
Oh, man. I mean, when I was a young kid, I'd watch a lot of stand-up as a kid. I don't watch it anymore very much, but I would watch whatever was on the Hod Network, which became Comedy Central, and it was like Brian Regan and Margaret Smith and Howie Mandel and Paula Poundstone and of course Seinfeld. But my favorite comic, and it was Chris Rock, but my favorite comic growing up was George Carlin. And my brother got a hold of his Playing With Your Head audio cassette that I still have right here. We listened to this a million times when I was a kid. And this, I memorized it, and it just became, everything that I loved about comedy and taught me how to be a comedian, how to be, orchestral with your words and your voices and the way you present jokes and the way you craft it. And this special that I just released, The Mad King, is my ode to George Carlin. I just almost was, trying to, not channel him, but I was just so inspired by him the whole time working on it. I just loved so much how he was the only comic that I've ever really seen that can do this so well, that captured both parts of my personality. He'd be very serious and with rants about the world that needed to be heard while still being hilarious, and also the next bit would be so silly and stupid and pointless and just to have fun. And he somehow was the most social commentary comic and the silliest comic at the same time, and I'm like that very much. I like to have both sides, and I can never get rid of both sides. And sometimes I feel like I'm failing in my comedy career by not choosing that lane. And then I remember, oh yeah, George Carlin. I'm good.
So when you were that young, were you listening to it going, that seems like it would be fun, or were you going, I'm going to do this? Was it instantaneous, or did it take a little while to go, maybe I will give it a shot?
It took just a tiny while. I mean, I knew I wanted to be like an entertainer and a performer and a TV host since I was like 6 or 7. And after discovering George Carlin, I think I realized pretty quickly I wanted to be a comic, probably by like age 9.
Oh, wow.
I knew I wanted to do stand-up. I just saw the world always comedically, and then I heard Carlin, and I was like, whoa, somebody else, this like successful adult that's like beloved, and so all these HBO specials my family would always watch together, is like this famous comedian from having thoughts like I have in my head sometimes as a kid. You know, these like I just always kind of saw through a lot of artifice of society and saw the absurdity in the things we do and the choices we make, and I said I wanted to do it. You know, and I had a pretty severe speech problem growing up too, so I couldn't even talk for a lot of the time, and I still knew I wanted to do it, even though I couldn't even say hi to a friend in the hall. I knew that it was something I would figure out one day, and I would get past, and I'd be able to do it.
Wow, that's a trip. I'm always curious, like, I wanted to play music very young, and I ended up, you know, kind of writing half-assed, really, really dumb songs, pieces of songs, whatever, at 10, 11 years old. Did you write jokes back then, or was it just kind of sucking it all in? But I guess as somebody who wants to do comedy as a very young person, do you go through that same process of just writing jokes like you're doing it, even though you're not doing it? Does that make any sense?
Oh, yeah. That's a great question. Absolutely. I also did write songs when I was a kid, too, because I also, you know, as J. Chris Newberg put it, I'm a pretty musical for a non-musical comedian. Right. I just love music. And so I remember with my friend David Lucky, we recorded one time audio cassettes of us just making up songs at his house. We recorded an audio cassette, and I still remember one of the songs. I'll get to the comedy part of that question in a second, but I remember one of the songs. It's obviously very cheesy and dumb, but for being like written by like a third grader, holds up a little bit. It goes like this. It goes, never make a big mistake. Small ones are okay, but never make a big mistake or you'll regret it for the rest of your life.
That's great. I love it.
Look at that message.
We
Straight
might
to the
have to
top of the
I
charts.
want to cover it.
We might have to take, yeah.
Please take, that would be so fun. Please cover that. That would be so sick.
We should, because it's just one chorus. It'll be like a 25-second song. It won't take long to record.
I just want to say that JB actually wrote a killer joke when he was 9 years old.
Oh, stop it.
And I'd love for you to tell Ben, because I think
Please, can I hear the joke?
really appreciate it.
What did the policeman say to the man when a big piece of meat fell on his head?
What did he say?
You're under a roast.
I like it.
It's terrible.
I like it.
Still the funniest joke I've ever written.
I like it a lot. Yeah, so I ended up, I would write jokes all the time. I had a box of jokes. It was called Ben Gleib's Comedy Box or something like that. And I have the box somewhere, and it was alphabetized. It had like alphabetical file folder dividers, and it had stand-up topics per. And I actually found the jokes. I threw away the box, but I found them recently. I think I have them in a filing cabinet somewhere, and I want to go find them and see if any of them might actually work. These are jokes I wrote from age probably like 7 or 8 to like 15. And I remember I think I actually ended up doing 1 or 2 on stage, and they kind of worked.
You might have your new hour, and your new hour is already in the box written, man.
Yes, literally in the box.
You got to think inside the box.
That's exactly right. That's the key for any good artist. Think inside that box. And then, like I had a piece of paper outside of my bedroom door when I was like 12, 13 that said Ben's Comedy Club, 2 drink minimum, and it had 2 stars on it. And I had a business card that said Ben Gleib, stand-up comedian / host when I was like very young. So I've always wanted to do it for sure. And then I would just start becoming the class comedian, making fun of the class clown and making fun of the teacher. And like one time I got caught having written, didn't like a cartoon with all these of an action figurine of our very angry math teacher, Mr. Borsom, but also ended up having a very good sense of humor. But nobody realized that until I kind of cracked it, because he was like real intense, and he was bald the year before and then came back with hair plugs and had like a full head of hair the next year. And so everybody knew that it was fake. And so I did this cartoon where I was like, with the new Mr. Borsom action figure with 20 snappy comebacks, like I resent that, and sit down, you you ungrateful kids, and all these like things that were quintessential what he would say. And he saw me drawing, and he pulled it up. He's like, well, I'm going to read this to the whole class now. And I remember thinking, I don't really care if you do, because this is going to kill. And he did, and it killed so hard that he even started laughing at some of them. He was like, that was pretty clever. And I just got huge laughs by making fun of the teacher, and it made him read it. It was pretty great.
That's hilarious. So you,
What music were you listening to when you did this?
This is like sophomore year of high school, maybe, or I think something like
he's
that.
already been over this. He's
Did
said
he?
it like 3 times. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that same stuff.
No, the
How many
actual
times do you want me to
song.
say "Color Me Bad" in the Beatles? I'll keep saying it if you want.
You trying to rub it in or something? But so you wanted to do comedy as a kid. When's the first time you did it? And who gave you the shove into, I assume, is
Other
an open
than-
mic or a talent show maybe?
So-
I don't know.
At the end of high school, even with my speech problem, I had an opportunity to do a radio show for the campus radio station, and I took it, and I just would have, radio was kind of great for a guy with a speech problem, because I would have a bunch of my friends come in and co-host with me, and when I would hit a block, the audience wouldn't see at home that I was going like touching my eye and like trying to clear the block, and my friends would just jump in and finish with their own thought, and so you couldn't hear as much. So I had that problem, and then went to college and started my own late night talk show at the college TV station, Muir TV at UC San Diego, called the Gleib Show, and the Whatever Live Show, where I would just do a weekly live call-in show. We would just take calls and react and improvise for an hour. I did that for 4 years, weekly pretty much. And then the Gleib Show, I would do like 4 times a quarter an episode of like a whole late night talk show, Johnny Carson-esque, and got a lot of comedy experience doing both of those, and joined an improv troupe during summers and winter vacations when I would go home during college. I was part of the LA Connection Theater at first, and also then started coming home for summers and doing acting classes. And I guess acting class didn't start till after I was a theater minor in college, but the improv troupes did, where I was with Chris Wilde in our improv troupe. And then my sophomore, and then years later, I ended up in an improv troupe called The Empty Stage with Kristen Wiig in my improv troupe, which was pretty crazy.
Oh, cool.
And Felicia Day and all these cool people. But and then I did stand up proper for the first time in an open mic after my sophomore year, I think, of college. It was 1997, which is crazily now like 25 years ago. And I have the audio cassette of me bombing for 5 minutes
Was it
at
weird?
the LA
because-
Cabaret.
Was it weird because everything else you mentioned was sort of part of an ensemble or people around you, and that was your first time just walking up there by yourself? That had to be a little bit freaky.
It was, and it was at a open mic where only comics are in the crowd, as is often the case at open mics, and so they're not even listening to you. If they are, they're trying to steal your joke. They're just more looking at their own set list, waiting until they go up. So there's barely any laughter. And I went up on stage and I didn't expect this. I've almost never seen it, only a few times since then. But they had this like very, very bright spotlight that I just couldn't even see the front row. It was pitch black except just a light in my eyes. And I like to improvise, so I kind of couldn't even talk to people in the crowd. And I tried with this one guy. I remember he said his name was something, and I pretended I heard him say, "Aganga? Your name's Aganga?" I remember that exact phrase. And I had just went to the dentist that day, and he like messed up when he injected me, and it like puffed up my cheek, and he like made me bleed inside. And I remember telling that story and thinking it'd be hilarious, and it was just not funny to people. They were like, "Oh, great, so the dentist hurt you, good for you." And it was intense for sure.
So how it sounds pretty frightening, and you say you bombed. What made you go back and do it again? You're sure you had to get one chuckle or something.
Oh yeah, I had a couple chuckles, but that to me was total failure. Well, I guess not total failure. There was a couple chuckles, but I knew I just hadn't figured it out yet. Like, I've had a strongly funny brain my entire life. I knew for a fact, just from observing comedy that is on TV and that was in the comedy clubs, I knew for a fact that I could be one of the funniest. I just hadn't cracked it yet. And so to me, I was just like, oh, that didn't work yet. I need to tweak and figure out, what do I think I did wrong? I think I was kind of rushing it. I was in the moment. I wasn't kind of riding the wave properly. I just started learning and trying to take from it, listen to that tape a bunch, and tried to, gain some insight from it. And the edibles kicking in, and I haven't really eaten today, so it's hitting me very quickly. And so, and that's the reason that, pie people end up making up 2/3 of the peanut butter brigade, because at the end of the story, it's like one way or the other, and you're made of gumdrops just like I am.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and good night.
Were you born and raised in L.A.? Did you say that?
I was born and raised in L.A., yeah.
Okay.
You're one of the very few. That's like you being in Nashville.
Yeah, I'm born and raised in Nashville. There's like 5 of us,
I know, and people that always come to each of our towns, people always give our towns a bad rap, or at least they do with LA. They're like, oh, everybody's fake in LA, and you all are like fame hungry. It's like maybe the ones that moved here that like had this insatiable desire to become famous, the ones that are born here are just normal people.
Yeah.
We had no choice. We're just born in an environment. We didn't go and seek out this thing. It just kind of found us.
It's not our fault. It's not our fault. There's only 100 of us left.
Yeah, that's what it is. You're also from Nashville?
No, but I've been here since 1977. I moved here in the 3rd grade, so basically.
I don't count that. If it was maybe early 70s, I would have counted it. But or if it was by kindergarten. But 3rd grade, you're already a hardened man. By then, your personality's set. You're done.
That's true. You already had alimony to pay, and anyway.
And you know what happens if you don't pay your alimony, right?
What's that?
You end up under a roast.
Call back.
Damn right.
We should write together. I think we could.
I'm sorry, you're breaking up. What's that?
Ben, what do you listen to comedy podcasts? Do you listen to comedy, or do you just listen to music, what do you do?
Just music. I don't listen to a lot of comedy. Definitely not comedy podcasts. Typically, whenever I'm listening to podcasts or reading stuff, it's mostly just the news. I'm trying to always like learn about what's going on in the world. I do a lot of political commentary and social commentary. I anchor the news for the Young Turks, and I have my own video series for them 3 times a week. And I love being able to just comment on the world. There are these like mini rants. I get to just kind of keep the world honest. My podcast, Last Week on Earth, if any of you want to subscribe, I invite anybody to. I've been doing it for 11 years, very sporadically, so you don't have to commit that much time. and it's on Kevin Smith's Smodcast Network, another of the famous stoners. And I just kind of make the news accessible to people who don't like the news and don't want to worry about news or politics. Like, I worry about all of it for you. I watch it nonstop, and I just turn it into like in an hour or so, usually me solo. I've had like insane guests, like some of the biggest in the world, like Bryan Cranston, and 4-star generals that were like NATO commanders, and huge comics, and some of the biggest people ever. But I also usually do it solo, and I just kind of summarize the world, and I just make it funny. So I kind of explain the whole story, what you need to know about it, and kind of make it funny. And so it's a good way to get the news and put it in perspective and not freak out too much about the world, or at least get some laughs while you do.
I'm going to listen to every single episode now. I didn't even know you did that.
Thanks, yeah.
Yeah, and that the chunk in your new special on the pandemic or COVID.
It's great, yeah.
Hilarious. I don't want to give it
Thank you.
But it was hilarious. Nailed it.
Thank you very much. Yeah, there's just been such weird, quick changing times lately, and I don't see how you could have done a special now and not talk about the most insane thing that happened over the last 2 years and all the craziness. It's like perfect for comedy. It's a lot of sadness, but perfect for comedy too.
No shit. So
I'm really trying to not shake hands anymore. I'm like legit. I mean, I would much rather fuck somebody, 100%. I mean, it's just less points of contact, as I say in the show. And if you turn somebody around, your heads are 6 feet apart. You're like social distancing while you're fucking the person, which I think is very key to remember. So I'm trying. I'd much rather hug or fuck than shake someone's hand where your hands are just touching in like 12 places and they're rubbing up and down and slowly sliding off. It's just way too much germs happening there.
Yeah.
Makes a good point.
Do you think it's the last week on Earth right now?
I don't. No, I call it that because I cover what happened during the last week on Earth.
Oh.
It's just a pun meant to be funny and not bum people out, but I do sometimes get afraid that it bums people out because they interpret it that way, and it's supposed to be double meaning, obviously, because the news is just so intense, and... Well,
there is going to be a last week on Earth. So
there will be.
You're going to nail it at
There
some
will be.
Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah, I had hopes for 2012 when the Mayan apocalypse was supposed to hit us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I did a great episode that summarized all of human history right when the Mayan apocalypse was supposed to be, whenever it was like November, December of 2012. That's a good one to listen to.
Could have been the defining document if it would have gone down. You would have just had it there in a time capsule. Yeah. They fucked us.
Yeah. So I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry the world continued. My bad.
Well, to be fair, it is someone's last week on Earth.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean...
That's very fair that you said that.
Yeah.
Overly fair.
And possibly someone that's listening to your podcast last week on Earth.
Wow, that's getting very now sad and dark because...
You're going to lose a fan.
Yeah, but you're going to gain a fan because it's always somebody's first week on Earth.
Yeah.
That's also true. And if you look at my social media numbers, I'm losing fans all the time, so it's no problem.
Not gaining any infants from their first week on Earth?
No, I am gaining. I mean, I got a lot of toddlers that really enjoy my biting critiques of the world and very strange high musings. But, you know, sometimes I feel like they don't get me. A lot of them are blocking me or they're talking a lot of trash, trolling me. And I'm tired of getting trolled by toddlers. It happens. You try to take it in stride. It's like, did that motherfucker in a stroller just try to fuck me up? Can't even walk. Dude can't even walk, and he's talking shit about my comedy. He doesn't have any words yet. Yeah, have you considered maybe you just don't get the jokes because you don't talk yet, young boy? No, just very opinionated out the gate. Take him away. I hate his tweets. Go fuck yourself. Fucking entitled kids want to give him a trophy for the way he trolls my tweets. Start him young. It's bullshit.
So did you have anybody like in a class?
I'll fight him. What's that? Sorry,
My face hurts.
Just trying to keep him from getting canceled here. No, when you were coming up, did you have anybody in the class above you that was kind of helping you along? We've talked to a lot of comedians. There was always not a mentor, but somebody that was maybe in a club or two that could help kind of pull them up with them, or somebody in your class that kind of fit that bill.
Totally. I had to go seek out, whoever was a better comic than me. So there was only one I could find. It was Dave Chappelle. I sought him out. No, that's not true. Even though I have had some amazing, weird, crazy interactions with Chappelle when he was on stage, and off. But when I was coming up,
at the comedy store?
What's that?
Did you at the Comedy Store with Dave Chappelle?
Yes, the Comedy Store, but more so the Laugh Factory and the Improv.
Okay.
The Comedy Store is still the only club in LA that I'm not a paid regular at, which is wild to me that this many years into it. Not that anybody deserves it or until it happens, it'll be a great day. I hope it happens one day, but sometimes you just get, you're in different circles, you get looked over for stuff. But I still play there a lot to this day, but I'm just not a
statistics show that comedians who do our podcast actually do get to be paid regulars at the comedy.
Oh, sick.
That's
amazing.
So get ready.
How many episodes deep is this podcast already?
62.
Oh, good. So clearly, and how many of them have become paid regulars after the podcast? 62.
I have to look up the actual statistic for you, and I'll do it for you. But I mean,
it's like 60 or 62 somewhere.
I'll be
somewhere between 0 and 62.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a good number or a bad number. There's no way to know until we know.
At least one. Though.
But yeah.
Yeah, we do have at least one.
At least one.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
Who?
One?
Ryan Sickler.
Oh, that's right. He got on after he did it.
Oh, sick.
I don't think he thanked us in an acceptance speech or anything, but clearly
that's bullshit. That's not cool.
Push it over the top.
Butch Bradley helped me a lot, and Alon Gold's always been great to me. Mitch Mulaney, rest in peace, was really cool to me and showed me some things. Sean Kent took me on the road the first time ever to feature for him, first time ever feature for somebody. Who else coming up that was really cool to me? Freddie Soto, rest in peace, was pretty awesome. Dane Cook was awesome. Really helped me a lot when I was coming up later in my career. Fellow. He is indeed.
We had him on and talked to him, and he's a trip.
He's definitely a trip. Yeah, there's a lot going on in that head of his.
Yeah, he's about to get married, right?
He just got engaged. Yeah.
Got him a young one.
Child.
Yeah, he and I aren't close these days, so I don't know anything about any of that.
Well, let me put it this way: I think she was probably one of your Instagram followers from the toddler group, but I don't know exactly how old she is.
Allegedly.
Yeah, I don't judge. If something's legal, it's legal. That's all I
say. Good for him.
Good. Yeah, good for Dane.
Why wouldn't
good.
Are you being trolled by toddlers? Are you doing a fake commercial to change topics on a podcast just so people change the topics? If so, call 985-555 Go Fuck Yourself for the best in topic changing. I hope that was smooth. I hope you didn't notice what I did there.
We were just talking outside how these things turn in for us. It's like an interactive podcast because we sit here kind of half stoned and watch a podcast. And it's like, isn't it great? They talk, and then when you want to ask them something, they'll answer you. It's the greatest way to watch a podcast ever. And we
That's
you probably
hilarious.
sitting here slack-jawed sometimes, like, and then we're like, oh shit, we got to say something.
And this is the greatest way for me to watch a podcast unfold is with a vague image of myself talking under a bigger image of two stoners at a picnic table about to be hit by a bus with a picture of the cast of Beverly Hills 90210 or Melrose Place on the windshield of the bus. Is that what I'm seeing? What is happening? Let's go to the Peach Pit after dark. We'll be right back.
You just right down your alley. One of our favorite shows of all time.
I wasn't.
Which
allowed
one?
to
Beverly
watch
Hills 90210?
Oh no, you were a
yeah, I wasn't allowed
Saved
to
by the
watch
Bell.
it.
That's the one.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to watch 90210.
Too edgy.
It's too little. Yeah.
Saved by the Bell. I like Saved by the Bell. A dear friend of mine is Mr. Belding, Dennis Haskins.
Really? He's from Knoxville, right? He's from Tennessee.
Is it?
Or he lives there. Well, he's your friend.
I don't know. All I know is he's from the University of Hard Knoxville. That's all I know about Dennis. No, I don't know where he's from. I don't think it's a question I ask people often. Where are you from? I don't really care. I live in the moment. I think people care too much about where they're from, about their differences, their cultural differences, religious differences. We focus far too much. Differences should just be the flavor in our society, and we'd have a lot more chill of a society. But we take it as like the main ingredient. We take it as the identifying, I'm from Nashville, I'm a Nashville type of person. That doesn't mean fucking anything. It's arbitrary, it's just land. I mean, yes, it affects your vibe and how you perceive culture, but we're all the same much more than we are culturally different. And we just get so hung up on, I'm from Vermont. Is it okay if we talk about Vermont for a minute? I don't give a fuck about Vermont. Go eat ice cream on a cold, empty mountainside. That's what I picture Vermont is. Don't be so proud of it. Be more proud that you're human. You can think and make words and shit. That's the shit that affects who we are. We identify less as human than we do as the arbitrary geographical boundaries we were born under, and that could be a good stand-up bit, so I hope I fucking remember that. Well, one of you message me that later?
Yeah. I don't think I've ever met anyone from Vermont.
But if you think about it, when you say I'm
another
from
good
whatever,
point.
I'm from somewhere, it's just meaning you're just basically saying my parents decided to fuck in Nashville.
Right.
It doesn't. You didn't have anything to do with
more
it.
so
Or
give
Not
birth there.
months. Yeah,
Yeah.
give birth there. Because,
that's where they were
I
when
don't know
it
if you know
popped
how
out.
it works. You don't have kids, but it takes a while for the baby
Takes
to
a
be
while, yeah. I don't know if you know
in the
that.
belly.
Does it really?
Yeah, 10 months.
Yeah, it grows, it kind of gestates inside the body, and
Ew, gross.
and unless they're having sex the entire 9 months,
That's when the baby's
haven't moved.
jerking them off from the inside, the zygote.
now you don't understand. Now that's unnecessary, and
I feel like I've read that somewhere.
Is that what you did with your dad?
If you have sex with a woman that's 8.5 months pregnant, you can't get a hand job from the baby that's almost formed inside.
do you
I don't know,
ever
I went
are
to
you
public
ever
school.
on a podcast with a stoned co-host who wants to co-write your comedy and then is going on very unnecessary tangents about in utero hand jobs? If so, I could be the one for you. Call 888-444. Holy fuck, that's going to be on this, right? Okay, great. We'll be right back.
This is the greatest interactive podcast ever.
I'm writing down my Vermont joke. Hold on. Vermont. Because they will never send it to me, period. I need to rely on my own self to remember this, period. People care more about where they are from than their common humanity. We're more proud of being from Vermont than being human beings.
Penis!
And how dumb is that? Period, penis, period. Damn it, why did you get me to say penis, period?
Siri, what is a penis?
Siri knows what a penis is, okay? I've Googled it. I haven't Googled it. Nobody needs, I don't know. Anyway, well, that's still writing all this down on the document.
I think your bit's already written right there. Just read
There
that
it
book.
is. There it is. My God, you may as well get a plug-in. I'm here on the Music is Funny podcast. Follow them. This is now in the joke. I will say it this way on stage forever. So sorry. Oh, look, it's erasing itself. Oh, no.
It is a smartphone.
That's better than a roasted joke. You're stepping it up.
It's only been 40 years in between jokes.
Ben, you're so funny. Oh my God. I'm so glad
Thank
we
you.
got to do this today. Thank you so much for doing this with us. I could talk to you
Of course.
This is funny.
Thank you for having me. So
when you
fun.
when do you come to Nashville? Are you going to be at Zany's or something? Or
I miss Nashville very much. Last time I was there, I co-headlined a weekend at Zany's with Ali Wong.
wow,
Dear old friend, we traded off who headlined each show, and now she's a billionaire, and I'm wearing a hat made on my own merch store that my fiance designed in hopes of making another $14 this month. So check out the BenGleib.com store.
Wait till you get the Music is Funny bump, as they call it in the industry after this.
you'll get signed at the Comedy Store. I am most sure of it. You just
Thank
watch,
you.
and you can
Thank you, and I hope the Music is Funny bump is not like a rash type of bump. Like it's just you're talking about a following
a pox
increase.
Ooh. The myth pox.
Ben, I
You
love
guys
so
honestly are so cool, by the way, because Henry, he agrees.
Thank
Henry
you.
agrees. You guys are so great because you really are very fun. It's great for comics. I can tell because I feel like I can riff and you guys chime in with really fun things, and you're also kind of like the Muppets, the old couple in the Muppets that are up in the balcony. Kind of.
I like it. I'm the old angry one. You're the slightly younger one. Yes.
Yeah.
slightly.
Jeez, have you looked in a mirror ever? And you look great. I mean, no offense, but
You look great.
you look like you're 150 years old. You look like you're the oldest person I've ever seen in my life. I almost feel bad
Dude,
speaking at the volume I've been speaking at.
She's right.
Am I
here.
scaring you?
She can hear you saying that, dude. She's right here. She doesn't mean that, Raelyn. Does not mean that at all. She's sensitive about that shit, man.
My God, his hearing is going, Raelyn.
It's been
He's only getting every third word. I know you've got to wrap the podcast up. His applesauce is ready.
Get some Metamucil to go with your applesauce.
Leave it to the
We're brought to you by Metamucil. If you need Metamucil, use the promo code ass is crazy.
Everybody go follow Ben Gleib and watch his new special. I'm going to go watch it again and again and again because it's on YouTube and I know how that is, and y'all should too. And thanks again, Ben.
Yeah,
You're
dude, this
awesome.
was hilarious. Thank you for doing
We're
this,
best
brother.
friends now.
I love it. I love it. My pleasure, you guys. Thanks so much for having me. Mad King out.
Yes. Ben Gleib is my favorite comedian.
He was funny. I like that guy.
He's silly. I like him too.
Another good one. Anyway, enjoy your groceries.
Don't be an asshole.
I know your mama's name.
Enjoy your summer.
Did we cheers yet?